Well, hello there, and welcome to the Dana Spencer Show, where we talk about solving problems, building relationships, quitting corporate, and the freedom to walk in your God given purpose. So, how are we feeling out there? I hope you are feeling amazing. You're able to get outside, you've got the activity of your limbs. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in
Glad
it.
in
And I
it.
hope you're
Amen.
glad today because I have an amazing guest with me today, and I'm super glad. So please, I want you all to give a warm welcome to Mr. David Bryan. Yeah,
Woo.
David, how are we feeling today?
How you feeling? I'm feeling great. Great. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I know you are a busy man, so I'm just going to jump right in. So, David, tell us, as a little boy, what was it that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Well, there's several different things. Of course, the old the athlete, the professional athlete. But what sticks out to me the most is when I was a child, policemen rode motorcycles. So I wanted to be a motorcycle policeman.
Okay. Did you used to watch that TV show
Chips,
Chips?
the chips, yeah. That might be where it came from. Yeah. It
Right.
looks fun.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and the other thing was a professional athlete. So, did you play sports?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Played football. That's what you did in the neighborhood. There wasn't video games like today. We went outside and your mom you go outside and play till the lights came on. So yeah, we played football all day long, or baseball or kickball or whatever. Any kind of ball is what we did outside every day after school.
Okay. Now, did you play at the high school or collegiate level?
Played Played at the high school level. Yeah, played football at the high school level. And also I wrestled in high school as well. Those are my two sports
Okay. And
that I still
what were
feel
some of
on cold days. What was
what
what?
did you do on cold days?
Oh, I feel those sports on cold days. Um, all the I guess all the hits, all of the wrestling, both sports were pretty much full contact. So yeah, if I would have knew that I actually had a back when I got older, I probably wouldn't did a lot of those things that I did when I was younger. So yeah.
So, what are some of the lessons that you learned from sports that you were able to bring into your life today, your everyday life? What are some of those lessons that you learned?
So that's a really good question. Um, I think for me, um, the coaches, the mentors that I had growing up, they could convince me to run through a brick wall. That's how I guess encouraging and the influence that they had on my life. So bringing that into um, my business field, I was taught never to give up. I started out 25 years ago, 24 years ago. I started a plumbing company, and it's really hard work. We're out in the cold, rain, sleet, doesn't matter, snow, in 12-foot, 10-foot ditches with sewage all around you, and you want to just go home. But the it was called intestinal fortitude, is what my coaches would always drive into us. You don't quit. You don't quit. So not quitting, even when things were hard, even when I failed, um, is why I'm sitting in front of you 25 years later today. So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great question. I never put those two things together where the drive came from, you know.
Well, and I don't know if you've heard of the book, and I've not read it, but a lot of investors refer to it. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
And the skill sets from sports and I believe, and being a musician, those skill sets have shaped us for our lives. And to your point about not quitting,
Phone
when
call
you have,
completed.
when you're in the
Sorry.
middle of a flip project and things are happening and the second floor ends up flooding onto the first floor after you've completely finished it and you're about ready to put it on the market, or it gets broken into,
Yeah,
like, you can't quit. You
can't
cannot
quit.
quit until
Yeah.
you complete the project. And so that
Mhm.
shows up in your life everywhere. So, in terms of, when did you
That's true.
realize that being a professional athlete was not in your cards?
Oh, I still haven't realized that. I think I'm
You're still going
uh
pro. Okay, keep the
yeah,
dream
I'm still
alive.
going pro. I'm still going pro. Where I think what high school years. High school years wasn't. I tell you, it wasn't so much that the God gifted ability that I had, but it was more of the mental focus wasn't there. My my junior senior year, you seem to get distracted um, with things, and I think that carries on through our adulthood. We get distracted on the things that are not important. We get distracted with things that can take us off of our goal that we have set for ourselves. Um, but that's what I have to contribute it to.
Okay.
If that,
And so when you had that realization, then what? What did you do next?
mm, well, for me personally, this is for me. My realization that everything that I was trying to aspire to didn't line up with what God wanted for me. So it wasn't until I sought Him and put Him first did things seem to fall in place. Um, and it wasn't easy, still a lot of work, but you know, one of my favorite scriptures, it's Colossians 3:23, and it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, because you're working to serve the Lord, not men." So our job, our profession, is our ministry. So when it becomes your ministry, it's not. It's okay to be down in that hole when it's really cold, because you're doing it for a greater cause than yourself. So for me, that's really when um, not only did my career take off, but knowing the direction that I wanted to go, um, I become solidified, because you don't. I mean, you're young. You're just trying to figure it out. What do I do? Which way do I go? Is this going to work? Um, so still didn't know it was going to work. I mean, as an entrepreneur, own a company, you wake up every Monday trying to figure out where you're going to get your money for that week, you know. But God always showed up. Never missed a payroll. Never missed a meal. So, and that's where that has just built my faith of trusting in Him over the years.
Awesome. I thought you were going to say Matthew 6:33 was your favorite scripture, but seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all these
For me,
things shall be
that's
added
just,
unto you. I just knew you were going to say that, but yeah, that's so awesome. So was there an encounter? Because a lot of times we have to be like, we I just had this study of the book of Jonah. And you know how with Jonah, God wanted him to go to Nineveh, but he was like, no, I'm going to Tarshish, and went, in the opposite direction. And he found
mm,
himself in the belly of a big fish in order to kind of shake him up and go the way that God really wanted him to go. So
mm.
did you just wake up one day and said, okay, God, I'm ready to obey you? Was there an encounter? Like, how did that happen?
Which one? You know
In
what I mean?
terms of knowing that being
There's so
the
many.
business that you started was what God wanted you to do.
There's just so many of them. There's so many encounters of, and you know, yes. But even then, when I didn't see God's hand wrapped around me, guiding me with that encounter, once I stayed steadfast and was able to look back. I seen his hand was over top of me, protecting me. I just couldn't see it at the time. So encounters, which the encounter at what in 2007, 08, when housing market crashed, and um, every bit of new construction, every bit of everybody was sitting at the supply house, and I hadn't been in business for 3 years. Um, you have plumbing companies, plumbers that have been run around for 15, 20, 25 years, and any work. Phone continued to ring. I continued to receive jobs. We didn't miss a beat. And I would walk in the supply house and just be so humbled by God of seeing what I seen. Um, the industry that chose me, the industry that chose me, there wasn't a lot of minorities in the industry, to say the least. So what I encountered between just the racism and the prejudice of inspectors on my work from clients that I walked up to their door, and I have a helper with me that's probably 20 years younger than me. He's a little white guy, but they speak to him because they think he owns the company. But yet God continued to sustain me and grow me throughout all these times, So yeah, it's just, that's what pops in my head, but there's just so many of them. There's so many of them when we were struggling and just trying to make payroll, and you get a check in the mail, and I go to my accountant, I go to Maria, my stepdaughter ran my office. She never billed it. We did the job, but she never billed it. But yet the check came anyway. So I just, yeah. So there's a lot. There's so much. There's just so much.
So what would you say to that athlete out there, or someone who's listening who is facing adversity, facing, unfair treatment or the coach's prejudice, and he's the best one or she's the best one but continues to keep getting looked over? What are some things, some encouragement that you would say to them?
That God's economy is so much bigger than ours, and what we are focused on right this minute and what we see, God has a plan for it, to use it and grow you, and maybe for you to share with the negative experience that you're having right now with someone else, to encourage them. So God will use you if you allow him. And if Scripture says, consider it pure joy, which is so hard, when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith will produce perseverance. And perseverance must finish its work in you, so you'll be mature, complete, not lacking anything. And that's our goal. We want to be mature. We want to be complete. We want to not lack anything. But it cannot be done without having adversity and overcoming it. That's how we grow. That is it. Things grow best in the valley, not on the mountaintop.
That part. And so you're 20 plus years into the business, and so many businesses, and I don't know what the statistics are right off the top of my head, but that 1 to 5 year mark is tricky to overcome, and find people to work for you. And what are some things that you would recommend to that new business owner who can't get out? So many times the owner is in the work, and it's hard for them to get out and hire people in order to scale. What are some things that business owners can do in order to scale their business?
Um, if anybody else has an answer for that, let me know. Um, just because of the workforce is changing so much. Each generation is changing so much, and it's really, for me, being in the trades industry and having kids, college is pressed upon our children so much. And so I just I really have a hard time because with the way it is, you got to go to college to have a successful career, which is simply not true. So many people are graduating hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and trying to find traction. So what would I say to them? I think it starts with, I don't know what I would say with them, to be honest to you, but I know it starts with people like me being able to publicize the trades and give people a chance that don't have any experience, to let them see that they can have a working apprenticeship and earn money while they're learning a career. And that for me is difficult. And I'm sure it's difficult for a lot of other owners, because the investment that it costs up front in an employee is it's all an investment. You might not get that return, because they don't create any income. They're learning, and they're learning. So it has to be a mindset of an investment in the younger generation, in order to understand what it looks like to be able to be successful, work hard, be diligent, and you don't always have to have a college degree to become a millionaire. Or better yet, just to support your family, you know. And there's contentment. There's a contentment in pursuing something that fulfills you, instead of something that you're told you have to do. So how to do that, I don't know. I'm on a board with a gentleman by the name of Todd Moore, and he has a Dream Center Academy in the West End, and the after school program we're wanting to put in, where it teaches trades to these kids. When I was growing up, they had shop classes, they had vocational. Trades were encouraged. There's a lack, especially right now, there's a lack of minority in the trades. It's a struggle. And because of the environment that has happened the last couple of years, municipalities, federal governments are having mandates, requirements that they have to use minority contractors. If they do not, they will not receive the contract. They won't get the money. They used to be able to bypass me, called a good faith effort. There's no more good faith effort in certain municipalities with MSD, with the federal government. That is my competitive advantage. That's what I target. I don't know.
So are there certain skill sets that you look for? Because I mean, I'll be honest, I know I don't have the skill sets needed. You know, these nails are not for plumbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the characteristics or the skill sets that you have found with, some of your associates that are, amazing? What are some of those consistent skill sets so that somebody out there who is like, oh man, I would love to get on his team or work with him? Like, what are some of those skill sets that you look for?
Honest dependability. If you're dependable, if you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, trades are learned. They're learned. You learn by doing it hands-on. Show up every day on time. You will outperform the people that know more than you do, because you will be consistent, and you'll be who that owner or manager can depend on. So you'll continue to have more responsibilities, which should account to more dollar signs, which will because you'll take your talent somewhere else that will pay you for what you're worth. But it's difficult. It's simple. It's just not easy, but it really is simple. For me, I don't have a college degree. I barely made it out of high school. But I can look at somebody that's doing something successful and duplicate what they're doing. That's what I did.
Right. And that's all we need. All we need is because some people have different ways that they learn. Some people
Hmm.
can read a book and
Yeah.
just do. Other people, like you show me the roadmap and I can duplicate the roadmap.
Hmm.
So it just takes someone who's willing to show the younger generation how to do what it is that they have done in order to be successful.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
kudos to you.
I agree. I agree.
So what about real estate? Have you dipped your toe into investing in real estate, or do you mostly just run your business?
I don't know. As far as real estate, we owned 12 properties at one time. I picked a bad time in 2007 and 2008. So we were able to get rid of most of them during that time. I had tenants that would move out. So um, for me, it was really hard because I do all the work myself. So um, doing all the work yourself, plus working a 50-hour work week, is really difficult. So and for the rental side of real estate, it didn't work for me. It works for a lot of people, but it didn't work for me. So right now we flip. We'll flip houses. We'll find a good property and go in, and that's what I do. I mean, I'm a general contractor. I have a HVAC plumbing side, and I do general contracting. So I already have the subcontractors, and we do a lot of the mechanical. So it the hard part for real estate investors is having a good contractor with subs that show up when they say they're going to do, when they say they're going to. So it's hard for me, and I know the guys, so um, I get it. That is the struggle. That and making your money on the buy. You'll never make your money on the sell. You make your money on the buy. So if you can learn that and just be patient, you'll do well.
And when I first got into investing, I heard over and over again, you make your money when you buy, you make your money when you buy. And I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And then now I understand it. So how would you explain that to someone who is like, what does that mean, David?
Your negotiation process has to be really good. And you have to, I mean, honestly, for me, how do I explain it? You have to have a lot of contact with agents at wholesale. And so you have to have your finances ready. So there's having the contacts, there's being able to negotiate and understand how much it's going to really cost you to get the house where you want it, if you're going to rent it or if you're going to flip it. You got to understand the numbers. Um, the numbers don't lie, and they're just numbers. And so those things, having someone out there working for you, that's not just because I tell you I've done it, and after a while, if they just feel like they're spinning the wheels and you're not going to purchase anything, they stop. But if you're serious about investing and you find you a good agent that works hard, not just not just an agent, but a wholesaler. Um, that's what I would suggest, and a good contractor. Uh, yeah, and a good contractor that will crawl underneath that crawl space and look all around on every bit of that house for you. Um, yeah, that's what it's going to take. That's what it. That's what it takes for me. And I tell you, in God's hand being on you, being in the right place at the right time. Um, Found a house in J-Town a couple of years ago. It popped on a listing, $25,000. This was in Jeffersontown. I could not believe it. I had a contract on that house within 35 minutes. So it's just being, yeah, I won't say being nothing, just seeing God's hand on it, so.
So unpack those numbers for us, because we love some numbers here on the Dana Spencer Show. So you bought the property in J Town for 25,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, it needed some work. How much did you put into it?
57. I put 57 into it.
Okay, so 72, if my math is
Yeah. You're real close.
okay, 72 all in. And so you put it on the market for how much? 250?
149.
149?
149.
Okay.
149.
So a nice little chunk, nice little
Yeah.
take home check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was all right. It was all right.
So
Hey,
yeah.
better than that, the lady right next door, I ended up buying the house next door also. Bought that one for 50, and ended up selling that one for 180. They need a little more work. We did a lot more to it, but yeah, really, really cool. These houses are on Roman Drive. They're underground houses. The difficult part was finding comps for an underground property. That was difficult, but banker worked it out for the the buyer. So yeah, it's good.
So we also talk about building relationships. How important are building relationships with investing in real estate?
Well, everything is about relationships. Everything, every business. I don't care if you're a lawyer, you work at NASA, if you're a plumber, if your company is all about people, it's all about people and about relationships. So you have bad relationships with your employees, your subs, or whatever, you're going to have a bad business. And it's the same with relationships in real estate. I mean, you have to have a good relationship with a banker. You have to have a good relationship with a real estate agent. So without those key relationships, you're kind of out there on your own, just trying to figure it out. So, and that ain't where we want to be at. So that's very important. The number
And
one,
how
it's the
go
it's
ahead.
the number it's the number one thing. Relationships are the number one ingredient to my success, and you just don't do it on your own. You know what I mean? You don't do it on your, and that's with your relationship vertically and horizontally. So it's all about relationships.
Oh, absolutely. And I the vibe that I'm feeling going into 2024, Lord willing, is collaboration. Like we have to start working together. How
Mm.
important is it, especially for us, to you know what? You cannot do this by yourself. Social isolation will kill you. So
Mm.
how important is it for us to collaborate and work together and not have this mentality of being fearful that I can't work with you because you're going to steal my deal, or whatever the fear is. How important is it for us to come together now more than ever?
Well, look, God's got for you what God's got for you. God's got for me what He's got for me. So, for us to walk around in fear, not in faith, is going to be failure. That's what it's going to equal. Um, we have to pull each other up. We have to. We have to come alongside each other and walk with each other. It's the only way our kids are going to have a chance. It's not about us. It's so much bigger than us. Um, it's about the next generation and the next generation. So that's what we're investing into. And when you have that long term outlook, you don't look at what's going on right now. You're able to look out and see. You're able to see what God's able to do in the future because of what He's done for you so far. So that's it. We just have to have a purposeful mindset of the people coming after us. That's what we do it for. I mean, we sure ain't gonna take it with us, you know. So everything's for the people coming after us.
Now, what about family? Do you have a spouse, children? What does your family dynamic look like?
Yeah, I've been married for maybe 25 years this year.
Woo-hoo.
That It was funny because that's when I started my company, and she did not want like that at all. So great to say that is I would not be here where I'm at without her. She is the rock of our family. Um, so yeah, I am so grateful for my wife. Um, we have 3 children. I have my son is 33, my stepdaughter is 32. We have a 21-year-old. We have a 5-year-old granddaughter, and we have a 1-week-old granddaughter.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. So, in terms of you recognizing, God sent a help me, and obviously being in a relationship and having that marriage, that partnership is so important. So, what if there's guys out there and women out there? What would you recommend as to how to find that rock that they potentially are looking for?
That's funny. Uh, hey, if I knew that, I'd write a book, and I wouldn't even be uh, general contracting anymore. You know what I mean? So I can just tell you my story. My story is I wanted I wanted the lady that looked like this and shaped like this and talk. You know what I mean? So I'm a ding dong. But it wasn't until God got a hold of me and her that he gave me a woman that I couldn't even dream of. I couldn't dream of all the things that he put into her that I didn't even know I didn't have. I didn't even know I wanted. So honestly, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's all built on our relationship with Jesus Christ. Um, you know what I mean? Because we still, you know what? You wake up in the morning and for 25 years with this person, and um, just the world throws so much out at you of temptation, so it's a constant work. It's constant marriage studies and accountability partners holding me accountable. Um, because it's dangerous, really is dangerous to the family unit of one mistake that I could make, one wrong decision, you know. So I need people holding me accountable, which I have guys in place holding me accountable to honor God with all that I do. Um, that's what it takes. If you want to be a Christian, then be a Christian. You want to be a man of God, then be a man of God. If not, don't claim to be.
Mm.
And do whatever you want to do, and get whatever you want. Get what you get.
Right. I don't know if you're gonna want it, what you get.
No, you don't want it. You don't want it. You
So
might think you do.
you said you got married in the same year as you started
Yeah,
your business.
yeah, I did.
So was your wife completely on board or your future
No,
spouse completely on board? Oh,
uh-uh, uh-uh. Oh no. You know what I mean? You go from, you go for having an income to not, to creating your income, you know. So, but God never missed a beat. He just never missed a beat, and and that's what For me, look, I sold cemetery property. I waited tables. I I was a purchasing manager for a company. I thought you had to wear a suit and tie to make money, but God was grooming me, using me to be able to communicate with others. So when I started having um, a different skill set, being able to work with my hands, I could work with my mouth. And so I went to neighborhoods. I would go to every day, when knocking on doors in neighborhoods, talking to people, telling them what I did. I would get work that day. I'd go to restaurants, talk to the manager. Because I worked in the restaurant industry, I knew what it looked like for them to have a budget and they had a maintenance budget. So I just took what I knew and put it into what I had, what I was doing now. So that's it. You're an accumulation of so much, and not just one thing. And you can use all those talents that I was flailing around trying to figure out what I was doing. But God knew what He was doing. He knew what He was doing, and that's what I was saying. I couldn't see it till I got past it and turned around and looked at it, and then that's when I seen it. So, yeah.
So you really have to, you can't just sit back and pray and ask God to bless you. You got to go out and hit the streets and knock on doors and really go and put your faith in action. That's hard work. That's tough.
Faith in
That's
action.
rejection. How do you deal with that rejection? Because there's people out there who are entrepreneurs. This is probably one of the toughest parts about being an entrepreneur is getting the rejection. Everybody, the product that you create, the plumbing, what the courses that you create, the books you write, not everybody is going to fall in love with your product. How do you deal with that rejection? They knock on the door.
Hey, look, I used to sell cemetery properties to people that were still alive. You don't know nothing about rejection. Who wants to even talk about it, much less buy it? So, yeah, I was used to being told no. So, when I had a service, that's the thing. You create a service, or you have a service that is so highly marketable and needed. Everybody's got a toilet.
Everybody needs a plumber. Everybody.
Hey, at one time or another, it's gonna happen. Or heating and air. So, how to handle it, I don't know. Remain steadfast, and remember, you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for Him. And I'm telling you, you'll get those little victories. I walk, I don't know how many neighborhoods, but then I get one where I do the job and I make $150. Well, that's, for me, that was fantastic, because I was only making $500 a week, so I just need to give me a couple more of those. Let me keep on walking these neighborhoods. That's fine. What you need. This is what you need to sustain yourself. Then you work till you get it. That's what you do. You work till you get it. Yeah. I'm sitting in a parking lot right now at a church. And this church, I know I told you something about it. This church was built on slave labor. It's over 100 years old. And for me to get discouraged, for me to want to quit after what my forefathers and ancestors have went through to get me to this point, I just, how can you? How can you? So what are you going to do for the next generation and next generation after what's been given to you? So yeah, it's kind of, man, it's just so eye-opening. Something I rode past this church so many times. Had no idea. I just had no idea the history of it. So yeah, those are a lot of things that move me.
Yeah, that's so good. I like literally felt that, because to your point, we want to get bent out of shape over the least little things, knowing how it must have been, dealing with slavery and the beatings and somebody else telling you what to do and not getting the same privileges as other people. And I went to Tanzania, Africa 2 years ago, and just changed my life, because they don't even have a welfare system in Africa. If you don't have the money, if you break your leg and you don't have the money going into the hospital, let's say you had $200, just high level explanation, and you go in there and it takes $300, Like you have to lay there and suffer until the
Yeah.
family can bring
Bring
in that
home.
$100 to,
Yeah.
fix your leg or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's a privilege to live
Hmm.
in a country that even
Yeah.
has a welfare system. I know we have all of what happened, but as
Yeah.
far as where we are today, it's an amazing privilege.
It
Seeing that
is.
it was just incredible.
It
So yeah.
is. Man, I got this 21-year old at home that is she's a junior at U of L. We go a talk about a discussion back and forth. So privileged generation. They don't I don't that's a whole nother episode we can talk about. So anyway, mm,
Oh man, that's awesome. So what if somebody's out there and they're like, I would love to get the knowledge to have, to be a plumber, or, they just, want to reach out to you, want to connect with you, need a mentor. Like, how can they get in contact with you?
Overflow Service is my company. Um, I'm the A. I have 79,600. 79,600 is the amount of hours that I put into my company since it started. So I'm at work. You can call me at any time at work. And as of last Friday. Ain't the nuts? Trade time for money.
That's incredible.
Trade time for money. So, Overflow Service.
And I love that. I love that name. Overflow Service.
Overflow Service. That's right. Yeah.
If we were going to
Overflow
put
Service.
if we were going to put a bow on this conversation, and you dropped some nuggets, but if we were going to put a bow on this conversation, what's the one thing that you would want someone to walk away with?
Um, anyone, anyone can achieve the American dream. Anyone. You are looking at someone that sold drugs, that was arrested, that was not supposed to do anything. Um, Anybody did not graduate high school on time. I have a I have a beautiful, beautiful family. I have a great relationship with Jesus Christ. And my banker loves my business. Um, I don't know. I have great friendships that have been 30, 40 years. What would you want to take away from me? That if there's no place you can be that God can't bring you out of. There's no place you can be that God can't get you through. And if you ever need help, there's always someone out there you can reach out to. And he works at Overflow Service. You can call. I would love to talk to you. I would love to tell you my story, because it really, you don't think about your life. You don't think about it from day to day. You just try to go make a living and do your thing and get home and have some energy left for your family, because everybody sucked it out of you all day long, you know. But as I've been talking here, I really, really was one of those black men that bought into the lie that I either had to use drugs, sell drugs, that I either, to be a man, you had to misuse women. So many things that are as a young man, a young man is a lie. It is a flat out lie. That there's a different and there's a better way that can prevent you. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. But you don't have to have the scars that I have on me to get to being old and understanding that I wish I would have did it differently. So that's what I want to wrap it up. There's a different way to do it. Yeah, God's blessed me in every way that there is, but there's a different way to do it without having the scars. And I know I wouldn't have a story without the scars, but I would choose not to have them, put it that way.
Yeah, you couldn't have wrapped it up no better than that. David, thank you so much for stopping by the Dana Spencer Show, and much success to you and Overflow Services. And to those listeners out there, there's a different way, there's a better way, and you don't have to have the scars. So if you are in situations that you're like, you don't see a way out, reach out to David, reach out to me. We can share the hope that is found in Jesus Christ, because there's no other way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.